Ridgeview High School was no stranger to lockdowns. Nestled in a small town surrounded by dense woods, the school had its share of false alarms, usually triggered by wildlife or hikers wandering too close to the building. But the lockdown on November 12th was different. It was a foggy morning, the kind where the world seems wrapped in a ghostly shroud. The announcement came during second period. Lockdown initiated. All students and staff remain in your classrooms. Do not open the doors for anyone. The students in Mr. Carter's history class huddled together, their phones buzzing with rumors. Some said there was an armed intruder on campus, while others claimed it was a prank. But then, someone pointed to the window. Outside, barely visible through the thick fog, was a figure. It stood at the edge of the football field, motionless and unnaturally tall. Its shape was humanoid, but its proportions were wrong. Its limbs too long, its head too small. The students watched in stunned silence as the figure began to move, gliding across the field with an eerie, almost mechanical grace. "What is that?" one girl whispered, her voice trembling. No one had an answer. The figure stopped at the edge of the track, its head tilting as if it were studying the school. Then it raised an arm, pointing directly at the classroom window. The students ducked below the sill, their hearts pounding. The lockdown lasted for 3 hours. When it was finally lifted, the fog had cleared and the figure was gone. Police searched the area but found no footprints, no evidence that anyone or anything had been there. The official report blamed the sighting on mass hysteria, but those who saw the figure knew better. To this day, no one can explain what stood in the fog that morning. Some believe it was a ghost, others an alien, and a few insist it was something far older and more malevolent. Whatever it was, it left an indelible mark on Ridgeview High, and a warning to never look too closely into the fog. It was a crisp autumn morning when Jefferson Middle School went into lockdown. The principal's voice crackled over the intercom, calm but firm. "Teachers, please initiate lockdown procedures immediately. This is not a drill." The students in Ms. Harper's 6th grade class exchanged nervous glances as she hurried to lock the door and pulled down the blinds. The room fell silent, save for the faint hum of the fluorescent lights. At first, it seemed like just another precaution, perhaps a stray dog on the playground or a suspicious person spotted nearby. But then, the whispers began. It started as a faint murmur, like wind rustling through leaves. The students strained to hear, thinking it might be coming from a hallway. But the sound wasn't outside the door, it was inside the walls. The whispers grew louder, more distinct, as if multiple voices were speaking at once. Some students claimed they heard their names being called, while others swore they heard phrases like "let us in" and "we're coming." Ms. Harper tried to keep the class calm, but even she couldn't ignore the growing unease. One student, a boy named Eli, pressed his ear to the wall. His face turned pale as he whispered, "They're talking about us. They know we're here." The lockdown lasted for 2 hours. When the all-clear was finally given, the students spilled into the hallway, relieved but shaken. Maintenance workers were called to inspect the walls, but they found nothing. No hidden speakers, no signs of tampering. The official explanation was that the sounds were caused by pipes settling, but no one believed it. Years later, former students still talk about the whispering walls. Some say the school was built on an old cemetery, and the voices were the restless dead trying to reach the living. Others believe it was something far more sinister, a presence that still lingers, waiting for the next lockdown to resume its eerie conversation. The most chilling lockdown story comes from Westfield Academy, a private school with a reputation for excellence and secrecy. It was a normal day until the intercom buzzed with a chilling announcement. Lockdown initiated. All students report to the auditorium immediately. The students filed into the auditorium, confused but compliant. The teachers took roll call, ensuring everyone was accounted for. But when the final tally was done, one class was missing. Room 213, a group of 15 seniors who had been in their chemistry lab. The principal ordered a search of the school. Every classroom, every closet, every corner was scoured, but there was no sign of the missing students or their teacher, Mr. Grayson. The lab itself was found untouched, with half-finished experiments still bubbling on the counters. It was as if the entire class had vanished into thin air. Panic set in. Parents were called. The police were summoned, and the school was evacuated. Investigators combed through every inch of the building, but they found no clues, no signs of a struggle, no evidence of foul play. The only oddity was a faint metallic smell in the chemistry lab, which no one could identify. Days turned into weeks, and the case grew colder. The missing students became a local legend, their faces plastered on posters and their names whispered in hushed tones. Then, exactly 1 year later, the unthinkable happened. The school was empty, close to the anniversary of the disappearance, when the janitor heard voices coming from room 213. He rushed to the lab and found the door ajar. Inside, the missing students and Mr. Grayson were seated at their desks, as if nothing had happened. They were alive but changed, their eyes hollow, their skin pale, and their memories fragmented. They couldn't explain where they had been or how they had returned. Some spoke of a blinding light, others of a vast, empty void. Mr. Grayson, once a cheerful and energetic teacher, refused to speak at all. He resigned shortly after, leaving behind a single note. They show me things I can't unsee. The students were eventually reintegrated into the school, but they were never the same. They avoided the chemistry lab, flinched at sudden noises, and often seemed to be staring at something no one else could see. The school closed room 213 permanently, sealing it off with a heavy padlock. To this day, no one knows what happened to the vanishing class. Some say they were abducted by aliens, others that they slipped into another dimension. But one thing is certain, the lockdown at Westfield Academy was no ordinary event. It was a doorway, and whatever lies beyond it is best left unopened.